right, Micheal Rubin. Micheal Rubin was on the Breakfast Club. I think this is the only reason Dove has been sitting in here this whole time. Dove is Dove's top 5 Jewish people I know.
Yo, he is. He is top five.
Top 5. There you go, Dove.
What is he putting on?
He's got a yarmulke that matches his shirt.
Did you call it a fucking...
What is it? You see how easy you can mispronounce something? But when you correct me, I'm gonna correct it, and I'm not gonna say I can call that whatever I want.
But you just made up a word.
What's oh, yarmulke.
What did you call it?
Yamanika Sanders. You put the Yamanika on. Dove put the Yamanika on.
Great.
It's a yarmulke, right?
You called it a Hanukkah, right?
Yarmulke.
Yeah, Hanukkah.
A Hanukkah. But he's got
fresh.
a yarmulke on.
It's
Matches
fresh.
the shirt? Yeah,
He's always wearing that shit because he hasn't gone to Turkey to get his bald spot filled in.
Why you don't go get it done? You can go to Miami, though. Miami and Boston got some good spots.
Yeah, but it's expensive over there.
It is. It's just more expensive.
Yeah. And he's G.
Sorry. My bad.
Let's hear what Micheal Rubin. Let's hear what Micheal Rubin said on Breakfast Club. Micheal Rubin says that he does not like black hate on hate.
Whoa!
Following room.
Michael's confusing the black hate on hates with black culture, when in reality it's people that are disenfranchised or poor tend to have that behavior towards one another. Like you see this a lot of times in like classist systems. Like my mom's family's from Scotland, right? You know, if you're trying to do something big or you're trying to be bigger than who you are in your community, there's this attitude of who the fuck do you think you are? You think you're better than us. And sometimes they'll try to pull you down as well. And I think when there's a lack of opportunity, when someone excels, sometimes there's resentment. And, you know, Michael has grown up in a Jewish community. He's probably grown up around tons of people that are also very successful. There's a culture of success. There's a culture of opportunity. So he might not feel those same restrictions of a lack thereof of opportunity. So he goes, oh, this must be a cultural institution that has to do with blackness. I don't think it is idiosyncratic to black people. I think it is really specific to people who don't have. And if you want to get into the history of why black people don't have, it's because they're lazy and don't work hard. But we don't. Wait, what?
Almost
Wait,
like
what I do?
almost landed that.
Oh, watch
plane.
this.
What I do? What I do?
I heard you. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
What
Watch
I
this.
do?
I
What
heard you say that earlier. Expound on that. I heard you say that earlier.
No. In all seriousness, there is obviously a history, you know, in the United States of America of homosexuality in the community. And what was it? What were you saying? You were like, black people are gay more often. You were saying in the beginning of the pod. You were
I want to hear from Dove.
in the beginning of the pod, you were being really gay about stuff. And what was that? That's a black thing or what? Explain that to me.
Dove, you put your Yamanika on, right? Your yarmulke.
Yep.
What did you think of your brother Micheal Rubin's statements as a Jewish man?
Seemed earnest. He wants to help.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Until he proves otherwise, I think he's done well for himself. I think he enjoys the culture he exists in, which is obviously sports, it's entertainment. Why not? Why not uplift the people around you? And I think that he's...
No, I do.
That's a good point that Dove just said, too, about the industry Michael's in, right? Mm-hmm. He's in sports and entertainment. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't he be around black people?
He is.
He started, you know, he got his money. He started like in his basement, like a ski shop, a ski tuning business, got into e-commerce and then grew Fanatics, bought a piece. I mean, the Sixers.
No, I'm not. I think he is genuine in his wanting to help the people he works with, be them black, be them Jewish, be them Christian, it doesn't matter. I genuinely believe that about him. I think he's being earnest when he says that. I just think that where he fucked up is he attributed hate to black on black hate to blackness and not poverty. And you see this across poverty. Mm-hmm. And to not separate those two is just it's just ignorance. I think that's
what
why
if
there's pushback.
No, I agree with
And
you.
I think he'd probably look back at it now and be like, ugh, I did fuck that up and I blamed it on blackness.
But no.
Not blamed it on situations that curated this.
I agree with you 100%.
Can I just say one thing really
Okay, go
quickly?
ahead.
Because there are black communities in the United States of America, right? You have like immigrant black communities that have been incredibly supportive of one another. And because of that insular support, they've been able to build these businesses and have tons of success in the same way that he has within his community. I don't think he would say the same thing about that. I think that there's just a history of oppression in America that makes it very difficult to have that culture of there's opportunity, and if we help each other, we build. I think that's not starting. I think it's been happening for black people for the last few decades, where you really see black excellence rising.
Absolutely.
And you see black people helping each other. There's a guy on this podcast that tends to do it quite a bit, if you ask me. But again, this is something that takes black people in America are building what their black culture is.
It's new.
This is a thing. You're deciding what your culture is now. If he just separated it from blackness and he was just like, I've seen people that don't have as many opportunities, and because of that, everybody's striving for what they believe to be the tiniest piece of the pie, and everybody's fighting for it, and because of that, there's hate. Instead, he's like, yeah, black people just hate on each other. It's like,
I think he was really eager because he's
earnest. He wants to help.
But he's also kind of like flexing that like he's very close with all
He's
of these
defending
top
his
names
friends. No,
that he's bringing these names up, and people are like,
specifically
ooh.
But he's specifically defending his
who
friend.
he cares about, and
Yes.
and he's seeing his friends get unnecessary hate, and he's like, this fucking sucks, and it hurts me, and I wish it didn't happen. And he might not see that happen in his community. And what I'm saying,
And he's defending his friend against the gay rumors.
I like what he's doing. I just think he worded it. Does my explanation? Obviously I'm joking around, but does my explanation make sense?
I get what you're saying, and wholeheartedly, and I agree with it historically. But the only thing I would say to that is, what if that's not what he's seeing? What if he's seeing people that are in positions like me, people that are in positions like Lil Baby, and he's watching other people who are also in good positions, also tearing him down?
Can I give you an example of something? So, because it's in every culture, okay? There are assholes in every culture, okay? There are assholes that are just rich all the time. That they do not care about uplifting their friends.
Absolutely.
I was telling the guys, so out in the Hamptons, there's this guy who owns this. He has the ownership of this protected reserve, right? And there are all these homes that are on the reserve, meaning it's just big farm field, right? And he owns the farm field. But one of the things out in the Hamptons is if your property's on a farm field, you get this beautiful view of this farm, and it's stunning and it's amazing. And what this guy did is he planted huge trees on the end of everybody's property on his side to block their view of the farm field, simply so they don't have a view.
So?
Wait.
Because I don't know if it's about the view as much as I don't want you seeing what I'm doing over here.
You're miles away from him.
You might got binoculars, a telescope.
But listen, how can, and this guy's Jewish, right? How can he drink, baby blood if you're looking at him with your binoculars?
So let me put these trees up.
Exactly. No. In all seriousness.
Expound on the baby blood thing.
No, I'm not going to.
Expound on the Jewish people who drink baby blood.
I don't want to tell you their secret. Okay? Dove?
What?
Don't do it. These are trade secrets. Do not do it. No. In all seriousness, that type of behavior is not, let me lift up the whole community. Let me make all of these properties raise in value. Let me make everything this beautiful thing that I can share with everybody else. There's also some other things that are kind of fucked up because everybody that buys a house there pays a tax to manage the reserve rather. So technically he's blocking their view of a thing that their tax is paying for.
I don't give a fuck.
I know you don't.
I own this shit. I don't give a fuck about your view. I own this shit. What is the problem here? Why are you mad about what he's doing?
Yo, Micheal Rubin! Micheal Rubin, you're right. You're right, bro. You're right, Micheal Rubin.
I already said he was right. I'm on record. I didn't say I don't like broad generalizations, but I know what he's discussing enough to be like,
not everybody.
I don't disagree with him.
Not everybody has. And again, we're taking this at face value. We're taking this from, you told me that he's very generous and looks out for his friends, right? Or the people that he's in business with. Not everybody is like that is the point I'm trying to make. And you and I both know people who are successful and they do not care about helping their friends. They can only care about themselves and their happiness. And I think that he assumes that more people are like him than are.
Here's the thing. I'm just going to address some of the things I heard people say. People say that they don't like They don't necessarily. I haven't heard anybody say they disagree with what he said. I've heard people say they don't like that he's the one who said it.
Yes.
And the people who do disagree are saying, well, there's a reason that we might be this way with each other.
That's
right?
what I'm trying to say.
Generational trauma, post-traumatic slave disorder. I understand all of that. But what I also understand is the healing of it is our responsibility. I understand why we got here.
Yes.
But I also understand the healing of it is our responsibility. So what do you think about people saying he shouldn't say it? Because I subscribe to Malcolm X when Malcolm X says, I'm for truth no matter who tells it. And I'm the type person, I like to chime in on what's going on with other communities and other people.
Oh, yeah.
So who am I to tell him he can't
I think
when I do?
I think what you say is this. You say, the reason I'm successful is because I'm constantly looking to help the people around me and give back. And I learned that from other people. And I've tried to do that with my friends. And sometimes I see people take down my friends. You don't even have to mention race. And it's like, I think what they don't realize is by lifting people up, you are also going to get lifted up. And then everybody can continue to make more. And that's why I've been so successful. You say that, you're still speaking truth. You're still saying this is how it works.
Just don't make it a black thing.
You don't make black people feel like it's their fault. Yeah. There's a thinner way to slice it, is what I would have said.
You don't make black people feel like it's their fault.
But also black people are loud. Say that about them.
Yeah, it's not.
They'll talk a lot.
It's not black people's fault. It's not. But the healing is our responsibility. Just like with white people, right?
Whoa.
No, just like with white people.
Talk about us.
No, you got to. Just like with white people, right?
What can we do?
White people will always say, I wasn't around for slavery.
I wasn't.
That wasn't me. Right. And you're right. That wasn't me. I didn't have anything to do with that. But the healing of what slavery caused is your responsibility.
Yes, it is.
It just simply is.
It's the same thing as like
you have to use your privilege to combat prejudice.
It's the same thing as the trauma you get from your family, for example. Like you were raised in a fucked up situation. That is horrible. It's fucked up. Those people that put you in that situation should be held accountable.
That's right.
But at the same time, you stopping that.
That's right.
Like I always bring this up. This is a completely different scenario, but like my dad had a shitty dad. He just sucked. He wasn't a good dad. And my dad, I think, like made a point to be a great dad. And I think he did it because he loved us, but he also did it because of how hurt he was with his father. And he did this awesome job. And now I'm in this position. I'm like, I want to be a great dad like my dad. So he like broke the chain, and that was his responsibility to do it, which I think is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And it's like, yo, listen, when Mike said that, I was uncomfortable because it was coming from him.
Yes.
But
and then I was embarrassed, right? But then I immediately just said to myself, like, if I'm uncomfortable and I'm embarrassed, and I know that I have these conversations, right? It's not like I don't have the conversations he's having. It's not like I don't have that conversation amongst my other black people, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, what are we gonna do about it?
My thing is,
that's my whole thing. Like, what am I gonna do about it?
What were you embarrassed about?
It's like the emperor has no clothes type of thing. Like he's like, damn, you see this too? Like you see us? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, damn. So shit, you noticed this? And that's why I said to him, if these are the conversations that you and people like you are having amongst each other, I want y'all to have it openly. Because it's like going back to white supremacy. If we don't have these conversations openly, or if women don't have these conversations about things that have happened to him in the workplace, or things that they don't like to see amongst the patriarchy, we can't fix any of these things. And sometimes it's good when other people see things that you may not necessarily see, or things that you might have normalized, or things you might have just accepted. When you hear from somebody else, it's like, oh shit, I am fat. You know what I mean?
So you're saying sometimes it's nice to hear from the outside, even though it does hurt.
Yeah. I think that's how you fix things.
It just, what bothered me the most is, yes, the person that is saying the message. It's almost like, don't come in my house and then tell me how to run things, or tell me.
I don't feel like he was doing that though. I didn't get that.
By that is, don't go on the Breakfast Club, the biggest black platform, and then tell black people what they should be doing.
So he should go say that to a bunch of white people?
No, I'm just saying.
I think you just don't have to make it a specific black thing.
Yeah.
Because it assigns culpability. Because it, in my opinion, is not about blackness. I don't think when you're born with black skin, you're born hating on other black people. No. I think that there are situations that might create this for not just black people, for fucking disenfranchised white people, for disenfranchised Asians, for everything.
And let's be clear, he got this from his black friends.
But that's the other thing.
He
is
said that. He heard them say this.
I keep telling people you can't have too many black friends because they'll tell you these things and then you go say them on the fucking.
That's the same thing that happened to President Biden.
Thank you.
When
What did he
President
say?
Biden said, you ain't black. If you don't know whether to vote for me or Trump, you ain't black. He's heard other black people say that. They're not sitting around making this shit up, guys.
No. He's in the White House and they're like, they're allowed to be here. And then
Listen, I like it because it's a conversation. You know what I'm saying? They got a conversation started. Only thing I would have, because Meek Mill said Mike shouldn't have said this out loud. Mike apologized. He said a friend hit him up and told him it wasn't his place to say. Neither one of those people told him he was wrong. And Meeks have said this a million times himself about black on black hate. So what I would say when it comes to things like this is just listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, and if it makes you uncomfortable, have the conversation. I saw people saying things like, you know, we didn't tell him about why this could possibly be. Like, to go back what I just said, the generational trauma and post-traumatic slave disorder and stuff like that. I get all of that. But my thing is this. We know how we got here.
what are we going to do about it?
What are we going to do about it? Because the healing is our responsibility. Just like the example I gave with white people and white supremacy and slavery and all that. Yes, y'all weren't around back then, but we're here now. And there's still ramifications from those things. How are we going to use our respective privileges to combat?
It's like a doctor that tells you got lung cancer because you were smoking cigarettes. And you can talk all you want about the cigarettes.
That's right. I smoked cigarettes for 30 years, but I'm here now. What?
So what are we going to do now?
That's right.
Yeah. Cigarettes are fucked up. We should hold those people accountable for selling us cigarettes and having athletes push cigarettes on us. But at the same time, how are we going to get rid of this cancer?
Meek said Rubin shouldn't be saying that type of stuff out loud. A black man's supposed to, but nobody's saying it. So what Meek is saying is that black people should be having this conversation, but nobody's saying it.
I don't think that you have to be. I don't think only black people can have the conversation. I just don't think that the conversation should be pointed just at black people.
Yeah.
I think it's because I don't think that that is the root of it. And I think that's kind of how he was describing it. And I think that's why it got out of control.
Yeah. And it was just the fact that listen, I saw more people agreeing with him than anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but then when you agree with somebody from the outside, it looks like you're selling it. There's a whole social pressure that goes along with it.
Well, I hate how my brain is wired.
Why? What you saying?
Because I can always see both sides. And I go out of my way to see both sides.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I want to know why this person feels the way that they feel. I want to know why this person feels the way that they feel. That's why I said, before I just, fuck that. You can't say that, Mike. Expound on that. I want to hear where you're coming from.
I agree. I think that is the right way to do it. And it's maybe a good conversation to have.
I think so. Listen, by the way, he didn't say nothing that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan hasn't said. He didn't say nothing Malcolm X hasn't said.
I also think that
we all know how we got here. But what are we going to do about it now that we're here?
I also think a lot of people are looking at this and going like, oh, yeah, he's the white guy that throws that party that the black people go to and that sometimes he hangs out with Meek Mill at the 76ers game. I think maybe if they knew his efforts to include these people that are in his, friend group in business endeavors.
He does it all the time. He said it in the interview. During the interview.
He put $200,000 in the lids and got $8 million back. Wow. Okay?
Go ahead, Meek. Shout out to Meek.
Yeah.
But that part's not clipped.
Yeah, Meek gave him we didn't clip it. Nobody give a fuck.
Meaning that's not clipped by the internet.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
So I think if people knew his benevolence, they would be like, oh, okay, he does have his,
He puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, right? I'm just putting this out there. He said Meek invested $200,000 in lids and made $8 million back. Great business decision. But you got to go back to when Meek was locked up. Who was the main person out here championing for Meek, talking to these legislators trying to get Meek out of jail? It was Micheal Rubin. It was Micheal Rubin who went to then Attorney General Josh Shapiro and was like, look, you need to look into this situation. You need to look into this case. They looked into it, saw that it was corruption. Meek comes home. Then Attorney General Shapiro becomes Governor Shapiro. What do they do from there? Mike didn't just let that cause go because his friend was out. Mike was like, he literally said it on Breakfast Club some years ago. He goes, I realized in that moment it was two Americas. And so I wanted to do everything that I possibly could to fix this situation. So what do? They start the Reform Alliance. You know who gave them the idea for the Reform Alliance? Governor Josh Shapiro. Then in Pennsylvania, they passed probation reform, criminal justice reform, the Clean Slate Act, all because of those relationships that were forged when Meek was locked up. Rubin knew then Attorney General Governor Josh Shapiro, and they all came together to keep these things going. You know how many people Reform Alliance has gotten out of prison?
Yeah, it's great.
You know what I'm saying?
It is great. And I'll be honest, like I actually have empathy even for the judge.
So real quick, one more thing. My point with that is when we tell certain people to stay in their lane, do we really want them to?
That's reductive. I don't think that that's like a fair.
None of this happens if Micheal Rubin stays in his lane.
Yeah, I think that's a great argument. And I think
and one more thing, and he said this on the show. When he first went to Attorney General Shapiro,
he said, nah.
And brought it up to him. Attorney General Shapiro did a little bit of digging into who Meek Mill was, and he was like, nah, you should leave this one alone. And Micheal Rubin was like, no, I'm telling you, this is some foul shit going on.
Yeah.
And that's when they dug deeper. What if those guys decided to stay in their lane? Meek don't get out of jail. There's no reform alliance. There's no probation reform in Pennsylvania. No criminal justice reform in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
No fucking clean slate act in Pennsylvania. We should none of us should be staying in our lanes.
And you're giving what's called context, and nobody cares about context in a clip.
Nah.